Who's got a question? Yeah, go ahead. If we just wait for the microphone. Thanks.
Hi, thank you very much, everybody. Very interesting stuff. I've got a couple of questions for Simon. First of all, what is a bone-dry cappuccino?
So a bone-dry cappuccino is a cappuccino with a lot of foam.
That's time wasting, yeah. Next question.
Comments I just overheard went back here. About tax, you said that you were happy to talk about it. Those are kind of where my other questions are. And you also said you measured everything. So would you share with us what the cost of the tax thing was?
What do you mean in terms of
reputational damage?
Reputation? Well, I think we know that we suffered some reputation damage on that. I think what we've done is since then is we put in place some things to change the way the business is run. So the main issue was that we weren't making any money. Then the reason for that was we had incredibly high property portfolio. What we've done is we've moved some stores, we've closed some stores, we've got off very high rents that were at £800,000 a year on Oxford Street, for example, and really changed the way the portfolio works. We've also brought franchising in, and it's completely changed the way that our model works. And so we're now in a good place. We're making money out of stores that are in new places, opening new stores. So yeah, it's been a difficult. It was a difficult moment for us, but the business is in a good place now, and we're paying a good amount of tax.
Okay. Yeah. Right here in the front.
I had a few more.
Hi, thank you very much. Love the way, Anna, you're talking about sustainability for business growth. Love the way, Charlotte, you're talking about aligning your social impact investments with the mission of your business. One of the things you talked about was capital, and talked about financial capital. But obviously there's different types of capital. There's intellectual capital, there's human capital, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about shared value, which is something that comes up a lot during these conversations, but I'm not sure that we've quite nailed it. I have a lot of conversations with the nonprofit community. I'm with a corporation, and it's all well and good for me as a corporation to come in and say, well, we're going to donate this piece of expertise or these resources, but it's really hard for the nonprofit community to come back and say, well, we still have these fundraising goals that we need to be focused on. How do we contribute to shared value and bringing value back into the business in a way that doesn't require the kind of old school CSR, which is about kind of funding the opportunity to contribute to shared value. So I'd just love your thoughts on how we can be a little bit more inclusive and generous and maybe move the conversation away from just financial capital to the other forms of capital that can benefit this.
Who wants to take it? Go ahead. Let's hear from the charity.
Well, I think this isn't just about money, and if we reduce it to money, then we lose massive opportunity. It has to be about a whole range of knowledge, expertise, capability. I don't really want to provide employment volunteers for corporations because it costs me too much money to do that. But I am interested in the intellectual capacity that corporations and businesses can bring to help. So, business development, where we can learn from. We had a really good partnership with Serco, and it was a commercial relationship, but we learned a huge amount about how to win business because they were a business winning machine. And it's those kind of things, I think, which, I'm not saying anything very radical really, but there's a huge amount of knowledge out there, and it's bringing that knowledge into, and we get it through our, people who sit on our board, trustees, and I'm not, I'm interested in human capital being deployed to deliver public services at scale, but not me coming up with a wall for you to paint or something like that, but doing something really fundamental.
Okay, Anna.
Yeah, so I was just reflecting on this. I mean, it's a really good question. I think that real shared value and a real exploration of all the possible areas where shared value could be created can only happen within a limited number of relationships. So to me, the shift has to be away from, I suppose, philanthropic funding or little bits of funding to lots and lots of different charities, to much more strategic relationships where you actually, throw some, I think I'm going to mix my metaphors. You're willing to actually put yourselves together in the ring and almost say, we're not necessarily going to work exclusively together, but certainly as one of a limited number of relationships, and really invest the time and effort to think through where the opportunities might be. And that's just the same thinking that we would apply to, I mean, for example, a supplier partnership or a major strategic customer partnership. You don't have 20 of them. You know, you might have 2 or 3 or maybe 5. And I think in the sort of business charity type partnership space, where you probably have a couple that you can really invest enough time and effort in to think through all of those possible areas for shared value. If you're, you know, the 10th or the 11th or the 20th charity, then it probably is just going to be a transfer of funds.
Right.
I think that's the reality.
Anyone else? Oh, nope. Let's have another question. Yeah, at the back.
Hi, Stephen Bediako from the Social Innovation Partnership. Really good discussion. I just really wanted to push the corporates on the stage, if you can hear me, on Chris's point, just about, you know, I guess I'm interested, what would the conditions need to be to have a more commercial conversation between a charity like Catch-22 and the corporate, so that corporates might help charities to do real transformative work? I guess it goes on the last question, but just what conditions would need to be in place for here in the UK?
As someone who came from a charity and now works for a corporate, that's
and someone who knows Stephen. Thank you. I go back to exactly what Anna was saying. I mean, it is trust and it is time, and all the really successful relationships that we have with our charitable partners, academic partners, and others, I spend an inordinate amount of time with them. And to me, that's time very, very well spent. It's very creative time. It's challenging time. Will be challenged. Will challenge them. And actually, the end product that you can create together, I think, really is testament to that. But I mean, during that process, you know, there will be pushback and discovery, and I think that's where you then get the absolute best of the innovation coming through with, you know, issue experts in whatever field they're working in, and you know, people like us.
Okay, go ahead.
And I think from our point of view, you know, that's exactly right. We have a relationship with, say, the Challenge Network on the Youth Skills Programme, and you know, we've embedded it in our vision for the next 5 years, which is community at our heart and 100,000 young people trained. And in doing that, in getting the board to buy into it, you've got that level of buy-in with that charity. You've built the relationship with them as well, to the point at which now I can say, okay, we've kind of done our job in bringing this to the company and in making it work. And now it's kind of handing off to the HR team, who are now running that program as a youth skills training thing. And I feel like, for me, that feels like a brilliant success, that I've actually, I brought it in, or we brought it in as a team, we made it work the first couple of years, and now actually someone else is going to run it, and it's just there, it's not going to go away.
Okay, I've got time for one more question. Yeah. Go ahead, right, just behind that TV screen.
Hi, I'm hiding back here. Yeah, okay. All right. We've talked a lot about bringing together charities and corporations, and we've talked about measurements and other elements of social impact, but I'm just wondering to what extent you've thought about an indirect impact, or indirect way to support social impact. And what I mean by that is, for example, if you look at Google, I think it's 10 or 20% of every employee's weekly hours are allowed for them to explore whatever it is that they're curious and interested in. When we look at things like universal basic income, which is going to be picking up in Switzerland soon, I think we're going to see potentially a gateway to another enlightenment phase of humanity. And I'm just wondering if you're looking at some of the more creative, entrepreneurial,
Okay.
that kind of
Yep.
direction.
Yep. Are you looking at more creative entrepreneurial ways of social impact?
We're trying
Or
to...
having a social impact?
No, we're definitely trying to. And I mean, I suppose one example would be we have a big target to work with 500,000 small businesses in our value chain to 2020. And one of the things that we're really doing is trying to understand, well, what's the power that those small businesses have in their communities, and how can we help to unlock that and create,
and how are you getting on with
create
that?
those leaders and entrepreneurs. Yeah, I mean, great result in our 4E program in Latin America, working with small-scale retailers, brilliant examples of retailers stepping up to kind of community leadership positions. And last time I was in Peru visiting that program, you walk into small-scale shops and you've got shopkeepers actually bringing together local community members to try and solve community violence problems. Those sorts of things, which goes well beyond the sort of direct impact just for that family and that shop.
Sure.
So, yeah.
How about you, Charlotte?
We are always looking entrepreneurship is at the heart of what we do. All our programs are built around it, and we're always looking to innovate, build on best practice, seek new models. And I mean, one example, our 10,000 Women program, incredibly successful when we reached 10,000. And that was educating and training in how to grow a business. We then realized that actually the missing piece was capital. So we've created a highly innovative new $600 million fund that enables those women-owned businesses to carry on growing, and it was the first in its kind financial mechanism around it. So innovation, I think innovation keeps philanthropy fresh, and it means that, going back to the kind of almost the risk capital point, that we can constantly work with others and bring the best possible solutions to society's problems.
Quick question on the back of that. How much money has Goldman Sachs invested on the philanthropic side over the last 10 years?
Well, since 2000, I knew the 2008 measurement, over 1.6 billion.
Okay. Let's have a final word from you, Simon, on that question.
On that question.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of innovation, I mean, I'm going to say it again. I'm really proud of this Neighbourly platform because it feels like it is a solution that it really is a very innovative solution in that we can get so close to the end user, to the charity that wants to get, wants to be part of what we're trying to do, and it actually builds into.
Chris, do you push them all to be more entrepreneurial, innovative? Is that part of your remit?
Well, it sounds like they're doing brilliant stuff, but for me, we've got a particular view about what we're trying to achieve, and I'm going to move to Peru actually, because what you've just described is exactly what we're interested in: how you unlock capacity in communities to deliver better quality services so people can live together better.
Okay, Anna, Charlotte, Chris, and Simon, thank you very much indeed. Thank you.